Hello again, it's Glenn Walford here, and you're on the Franchise Everything podcast, where we talk about everything and anything franchising. And you'll be able to hear maybe from some background noise. We're at the Sydney Franchising Business Opportunities Expo at Darling Harbour this weekend. And I just happen to be joined by James Riddle, the CEO of Plumbing Bros. James, thanks for joining us, mate.
Thanks for having me, Glenn.
Excellent, excellent. How's your day been so far? It's only the first day, isn't it?
I'm very tired already. It's a long day on the feet.
Tired already?
We've got tomorrow to go as well, but there's been a few strong inquiries early, so excited to be here.
So is this your first expo, or have you done expos before?
No, we did. That's where we first met a few years ago in Melbourne.
I thought we met at another franchising conference.
Yeah. We had Xero franchises at that time. I was just really hungry to enter the franchising space. We got nothing from the expo, but it's funny to reflect on that now. My experience has grown significantly since then, and we're in much better stead to convert and sell our opportunity now.
So what did you think about that? It was interesting you said there about a much better position to convert. What are the learnings from that expo to now? Because obviously you came back because of an expectation to do better. What are the thoughts?
There's learnings in franchising, but I think it's more around credibility of our brand, our network, and our business as well now. So, we've got 12 franchise locations now, so there's credibility. It's not someone going, well, am I going to be the first?
Yeah, and that's always a tough thing, but credit to you, because I always say when franchisors who are emerging brands and just started that, how am I going to sell a franchise? And they buy you. Aren't they? They're buying you as a new franchise selling to a person where there's no territories on the ground. They're buying the person they're talking to, the founder, the CEO, the person's vision. So you must have done something pretty right in between now and then.
Yeah, I think you're not always comfortable with that because you may think it's not the case, but early on it absolutely is the case. A lot of our earlier marketing was centred around me, but that's now evolved significantly through our resource growth.
Yeah, and that's a great journey. So now we're here. I wanted to chat with you because of. And we've been a part of your journey over the time, haven't we? We've done a bit of stuff over the years. I wanted to get you on here and talk on here about your business model broadly, because I know it's evolved a lot, hasn't it, in 3 years?
Yes.
Now being towards the end of 2023. So we can talk about the Plumbing Bros franchise business model. So did I introduce you? I did say you, James. I couldn't remember if I'd actually introduced you in the brand anyway. But so we're going to start with talking about the Plumbing Bros franchise business model, and I want to talk about the scalability of it, because I know it's a conversation we always have about a frustration you have with the business of Plumbing Bros, about the scalability and people's perception of it. Can you touch on the perception of the brand and what gets you about it?
Well, I think it's a unique model that we have.
And describe what it does a little bit for people who don't know.
So it is difficult to communicate that at times, but you do not need to be a plumber to be a Plumbing Bros franchise partner. Okay, and that's not that we're not looking for plumbers. You can be a plumber. It's just we're looking for a particular skill set and experience that's around business management, business ownership, or people management at a pretty high level.
And that's been the challenge, isn't it? Because no doubt there being assumption is you're called Plumbing Bros and you're in the plumbing industry, that people would immediately think as soon as they flash past your brand that I've got to be a plumber if I'm going to be involved. Yeah,
well, as you said, we're here at the Expo, and even today, even at our booth, if anyone's seen it today, it's plastered with "you don't need to be a plumber" all over it. I think it's mentioned 5 or 6 times.
And do people come up and say, "Do I need to be a plumber?"
It's all over our marketing material, but still, it's I don't know. It's because it's so unique. People still walk straight past it, not knowing that. So, but that's okay. What we've had to do is we've had to engage with the public more so than maybe some other brands, just to really nail home that you don't need to be a plumber, and then to just engage with the person and figure out whether they are looking for something that we're offering, and whether they're a good fit for us as well.
And how does that work for the growth of the brand? In, say, for example, if a person is a franchise owner, in the scalability of the business at a local level, how does that work without being plumbers, and how does it work on the ground?
Well, that's why we're looking for a skill set which is outside of the plumbing industry generally. And that's, we're on a journey to give or take 10 revenue generating plumbers per territory. And it's quite a sizable small to medium business opportunity that, at business maturity, we're disappointed if it's not turning over in excess of $3.5 million per annum.
So a territory, just so we clarify that, so a territory, 10 revenue generating plumbers, that means a franchise owner who would have 10 plumbers within their location, is that right? Working in that territory.
Yeah, correct, at business maturity. And I say give or take, right?
Yeah, of course.
People come, people go. There's also, we've got a strong apprentice strategy, so we employ apprentices as well. So that's why I use the revenue generating plumbers.
Yeah. Okay, and with the franchisees you've brought on board, how are they tracking along? Where are their locations, by the way? So whereabouts are you located? Are you a national or are you still in a regional?
Yeah, well, we've as I sit here today, we've got 4 locations in Queensland, but we're about to announce one in the next day or two. So stay tuned for that one. We've got 3 in New South Wales. We've got Plumbing Bros Melbourne in Victoria, Hobart in Tasmania, and then Mandra's our only franchised business in Western Australia. But then our flagship corporate-owned founding business, Plumbing Bros Perth, is obviously also in Western Australia as well.
Okay, so it's a nice spread across the country. How have you managed to get that spread? So what do you think is the reason why the spread there, why you've picked off locations in each one? Because quite often there's a concentration and then you spread out from there. What's the reason behind that, you think?
It probably would have cost less if we did that, Glenn. But we're looking for good people. So good people,
wherever they are,
wherever they pop up, we want to talk to them. We're sitting here and we the only major state that we're not in is South Australia, so Adelaide. Although we're very, very close. But it would have been nice to have someone there, but we don't. So it's we don't pick and choose where. Yeah. It's more just the people.
Okay, that's good. So can you describe for me what an owner does? So what does an owner get up to on a daily basis? Because it is interesting that they don't have to be plumbers. So what role do they play in the business?
Yeah, in the early stage of the business, it's very operational administration heavy, so scheduling, quoting, invoicing, etc. But then as the business scales, there's a tipping point, sometimes 2, 3, maybe even 4 plumbers if you stretch it. There's a tipping point where the administration workload grows so much that it limits the old cliche working on the business instead of in the business.
Yep.
Sorry, in the business instead of on the business. So we really encourage our franchise partners, it's done in pre-forecasting and modelling as well, to pull the trigger on that administration help as early as possible to help the franchise partner focus on growing the business through business development, through sales, marketing, together with our support, of course, and networking being another big thing as well.
Yeah. So what does a day look like? So say for example, someone gets on board. They're in their first bit. What does it look like when they start? When they kick off their territory, out of training, I assume.
Yep.
So what does it look like for them when they start?
Yeah. So very early on is it's about generating leads but then dealing with the leads coming through. So it's entry level is answering a phone, taking a call, scheduling a job in, then overseeing, not on site, but overseeing through business operations the plumber executing that job. And then invoicing that job, making sure that the production line happened, the way we wanted it to, reviewing the data out of that, and then, then almost circling back and working on quoting as well. Yes, you don't need to be a plumber to help with that. We've got systems and processes in place for quoting. But then team management, there's a big element of team management. You're growing a team. We talked about scaling the team up.
Yeah, especially when you're getting to 10 revenue generating. You've got to
grow a strong culture. You've got to you engage with your team constantly. But then from there, that's early on. But then as growth occurs, then we really want our franchise partners stepping more into engaging with us at a higher level for planning and strategy. And then working on the business through sales opportunities, through maximising revenue, through business networking is a very, very big part of our growth story. And I'll probably talk about this all day. There's so many elements there.
Is that things like chambers of commerce, local community centres, council?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything that's going to grow the number of jobs in the business, which will grow the revenue of the business.
Okay, excellent. So, and that sort of taps onto something else we wanted to cover, which was sales and marketing. So, how does it work? I know you've got a great team in there at head office that I've had a little bit to do with over time there. So, how do you structure the sales and marketing support? So, for example, you talk about business development from a franchise owner. How are they finding clients? How does that work? And how does that snowball then on into retaining clients and keeping them on and keeping them happy? Can you touch on the way you do that with the business?
Yeah, definitely. Good question. There's 3 tiers to our sales and marketing. Tier 1 would be the local area marketing. So we through our national sales and marketing manager, who and she's here today, Rebecca Turner, sits with our franchise partners to create a local area marketing plan. But then that's for them to execute. So they have full reign over that. and as long as they're marketing within their territory, of course, there's almost no holds barred. There's not much they can't do.
Yeah.
But we've obviously got tried and tested strategies that they
Stuff that
execute.
you've seen work over the time, of course.
Tier 2 is our group marketing fund. So each of our locations, including corporate locations, of course, contribute 4.75% of overall revenue to a marketing fund, a sales and marketing fund. And that's like a lot of marketing funds in franchising, it's pretty much a not-for-profit, right? We use that fund to build brand awareness, but to drive leads and work opportunities to our franchise network. And there's two components to that. There's sales and marketing. We separate that. So through sales, it's very B2B acquisition heavy, right? So we've just hired a sales exec in Queensland. We've got a sales exec in Melbourne. And then we've got Joe, who I think you've met previously as well, co-founder of Plumbing Bros. He's moved into a national sales role through contracts and tenders. And he's had some big wins recently.
And that's a real specialised field, isn't it? Getting those right, those contracts and tenders, and the flow-on effect to a network from that with work is huge.
And relationship building and networking through that with very, very large clients. Yep. So he's had some big wins recently through, we've signed a contract with the government schools in New South Wales and also the Water Authority in Victoria. But the awesome thing about that is it's not the schools, for example. That contract was signed by our franchise partners. It wasn't signed by us at national headquarters. And why that's exciting is it adds an asset value. It grows the asset value of our franchise partners' businesses.
That's huge. I mean, thinking about that, and I've done a lot of interviews and content over years with services businesses, and to think about the impact of a business that is turning over X to suddenly be basically gifted a contract that is signed under them that adds to their asset value is enormous. I mean, you could describe it as a windfall almost.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a business owner.
We had a team dinner with our New South Wales team last night. That includes Wagga Wagga, Central Coast, and our Plumbing Bros Chatswood, who's more Metro Sydney here. They were, the morale and the happiness was the highest I've ever seen it. A big part of that would be because they've all just signed contracts recently as well, and their businesses have thrived because of it. And that's fantastic.
Excellent work.
And then just back to, I didn't want to, before we move on, there was the more parts to the sales and marketing is then there's the marketing element to that as well. So that's what drives brand awareness. But we've also we've set up a digital marketing agency as well, and that's more driving the B2C leads, making the phones ring for our franchise partners, and more of the private client work coming through.
So do you have a level that you're supposed to hit for your franchisees, or in your marketing, or what's the measure of that sort of stuff? Because obviously has to be some sort of measurement of the performance of the marketing. Absolutely.
So internally we have metrics that we track to ensure that the group marketing fund is performing for our franchise partners. And then externally, we communicate a minimum level of sales acquisition in terms of percentage of business revenue. Obviously, and we always want to do better. In most locations, we do a lot better, but we have a minimum expectation. And that changes regularly. We're driving that up. So I won't mention that now because by next week it changes. Change.
Yeah, but I know it's good that you're basically there with the commitment that you're going to generate at least this much for them. So
absolutely.
That must give some security and everything for franchise partners.
Yeah, absolutely. And then,
go on.
Sorry, then the third tier, because why I jumped in there is one of our 5-star core values is teamwork, right? Yep. And our sales and marketing is no different. That's why local area marketing I mentioned first, that's them playing their part, we're playing our part. And then at tier 3, we've got Plumbing Bros National Assist. So what that is a national plumbing footprint with one point of contact. There's no direct-to-plumbing company solution for clients in Australia right now. There's a few third-party opportunities, but because of our size of our footprint, which is still growing, but because of the current size, which has grown so much, we're able to provide that service. What that is we have a number of multi-territory and national clients who want that one point of contact solution. And then what that means for our franchise partners is we contract the job to them, to whoever's closest.
Wow. Okay, so that's that one. That's that one number that basically anyone can call.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
So they're interesting. Sorry, I just got my mind thinking on something there. With all the sales and marketing stuff there, the structure and the thoroughness that you spoke about there, in your feedback with people who have come on board, are they some of the reasons why they're coming on board with you? Is it that sort of structure that they're demonstrating, or the fact that you're backing yourself with not a guarantee, but that commitment and everything there? What are the reasons they're coming on board for? What are they telling you?
Yeah, I think definitely the sales and marketing. I think that's probably not the main reason they join, but it's a big pillar of the conversations from there forward. What we're seeing at the moment, the biggest thing we're seeing at the moment with uncertain economic times is, I'm not going to use the word recession proof, but there's a confidence in plumbing.
Yep.
I don't think we're getting taken over by robots anytime soon. AI is probably complementing us, not working against us.
Yep.
And we saw through COVID that we were able to continue trade. And when you just look back to 1987 global recession and then the GFC as well, plumbing still thrived throughout that. Taps don't stop dripping, drains don't stop blocking.
Toilets get blocked.
Hot waters need to remain.
There's so much
hot
toilet
in
paper
winter.
during COVID.
And pipes keep bursting. So we need professionals to be able to fix those problems and solve those issues for the consumers. And we're the leader in Australia at doing that.
Excellent. So, with those franchise partners, what does the support look like when they get on board? So, you're a very structured person, right? In talking to you, and over the couple of years I've known you, or whatever. So the way that you approach business is very methodical in your outlook on things, and a very thorough approach to it. So, as far as support for franchise partners go, there's that sales and marketing component. But say you're a non-plumber in the business, and you've got plumbers out there. Support the franchise office when you've got issues or challenges or problems. What sort of things come up, and what sort of support do you provide?
We provide support on a vast range of things. So, and it comes back to people again, I suppose, because if you've got a location that is more technical savvy, then our support in technical space is going to be minimal. But then they may need some more business support, for example, or just miscellaneous questions coming through. But if we've got on the flip side, then we structure our support for whatever's needed at the time.
Yeah, it's very adaptable.
Yeah. And it's funny, with our resources growing now as well, we're trying to control that a little bit more. So that's a growth challenge for us. But that's an exciting challenge.
As in what way it starts to mushroom out too much.
Instead of getting too many inquiries come through over so many different topics. So we're building out our Plumbing Bros portal, which we've had since day one, but we're building that even more now. We've already done a significant amount of that through video support.
So it's like a knowledge based thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then all the frequently asked questions. So we're tracking all of the inquiries we get from our franchise network and turning that into a knowledge base, as you said, frequently asked questions.
Okay, so that I imagine you are getting a lot of information in from the network, and as any new franchise brand is growing out and adding clients on, you're generating data and awareness and market awareness of everything that's happening in performance of franchise partners. And I know you're chatting with you earlier, you're massive on data. You're always talking about data and things that are happening in the business. Can you talk through some of the data that you're getting, what it means to you as far as the growth and development of the business goes going forward? Yeah,
so we, especially at support office, but even our franchise partners, we're a data business. We're not a plumbing business. We're a data business, and the data is the pillar of our support. So you've heard it already. You have some things we support, but we support a vast range of things, and that includes forecasting and business strategy and business planning, etc. But the main I'm going to say the main component and the main value of our support structure is through analysing of data. And I was at a franchising event recently where very, very big name franchisors were in the building, which was really exciting to network with them. But I was almost astounded that our data and our reporting is beyond those of I'm talking about global multinational brands, and to think that we've been in franchising all of 3 years. And our data and reporting's already ahead of that is really exciting. But it just goes to show, it goes to prove as well how critical it is to us. So
it's interesting. Before we move on there, was it the data that you're generating, or was it what you're doing with the data? From what you heard, or your description.
I'm going to say both, but more around the generation of data and the transparency. So. Our franchise partners can log into our software and see where they compare to everyone in the network for all of our key benchmarks and metrics. And there's some other brands. I don't talk about other businesses that often, but There's other brands that don't have that ability.
You can't
yet.
help but look though when you hear
But they're chasing that solution. So, it makes it, it gives me more confidence to know we're already there, which is exciting. And, adds to the value of our network and our opportunity as well.
So what do you do with that data? So obviously he knows, one thing to get it, but what do you actually do with it? What do you learn from it?
Yeah, so through reporting that we run weekly operational reporting. So instead of waiting a month or a quarter,
which is quite common, that month is
quite
common,
or a year to capture areas of opportunity, I'll call them, or where red flags. I think something you might have mentioned earlier.
And the announcement with the Expo, we'll hear
might
it.
overtake the volume, but
Might do data, yeah.
But instead of
you can keep going.
Well, how's the order here?
They're great.
Instead of waiting all that time, we're picking up areas of opportunity in weekly reporting through our benchmarking data. So if someone has slipped below a benchmark in a key area for our business, we're capturing that within days. We're able to optimize it. We're able to work with the pullers and levers out of that data to then design our support structure to add the most value to the business. And just one example that pops into my head so you'll understand more what I'm talking about is we're disappointed if we pay our plumbers more than 30% of the overall revenue of the business.
And that's not a wage-related issue, that's a benchmark-related issue.
It's efficiency. Yeah. It's efficiency on labour recovery, okay? So if it exceeds the 30%, then we know it's one of two things. It's either your job profitability. Okay, so we're going straight to our job management software. We're looking at client data, customer data, job type data.
Is it bad quoting or
exactly
areas
right?
of quoting?
We're looking at everything job related, or it's non-billable time. And somewhere like here in Sydney where travel times are a bit higher and tolls are extortionate almost. That's a big player. But if that's the case and we pick up on that data, then I'm going straight to the timesheets because the answer's in the timesheets, right? So we've almost got it's a flowing matrix of different data sets. That's just one example I gave, where we're able to design the support to optimize the business to improve efficiency, which improves profitability.
Mate, I think there's some accountants up there. I think you'd be very excited hearing you talk about this sort of stuff. That's fantastic, though, because you do often hear that a lot of database stuff and driving franchise networks, and in many businesses, generally around that month-to-month sort of stuff, they're checking out the reports at the end of the month, but on a weekly basis is not that common.
We heard that at this event.
As far as red flag and reaction goes.
So the event I'm talking about, we heard that as well, and there was a lot of month stories, as you just said, but there were some businesses, there was a business in the room that was waiting a year, and it was around transparency of, at franchisor level, we have access to everyone's Xero account, which integrates with our job management software. That's just an absolute must, right? Without that transparency, then we can't structure our support to help and to maximise our support as best as we can. So you just need that transparency.
Isn't it? It's a mindset of taking responsibility and accountability for really wanting to be involved in the profitability of their business.
Yeah, and do you know what? When the business is thriving, it's all good. Like, who cares about the numbers? I'm making money.
Yeah.
It's when the business is not doing as well as it could be through benchmarks or through various different things. We're exiting. I'm going to call Australia's greatest ever labour shortage, right? And we're talking about growing plumber numbers to grow revenue. So that was affecting some of our businesses.
Yeah.
You're not able to hire a plumber, you're not able to grow your revenue, okay?
Of course.
So, the data and the financial transparency and operational transparency through a period like that is just so vital.
Excellent. Well, I think we've certainly covered that first detail of the Plumbing Bros business. James Riddle, CEO of Plumbing Bros, thanks for joining us on Franchise Everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that's it for us here at the Franchising Expo. We'll catch you again in the next one soon.